What's up, meatbags? It's the often imitated, never duplicated Tony TGD. That's right. Once again, I'm back. This time we're talking about the FTC. That is the hot topic in the little community that I'm part of, in the little sphere of YouTube that I like to, walk around in. So on the screen here, we got this page. It's advertisement and endorsements. It's from the FTC website. Now, Retro Bro on a stream last night, he was talking about this particular page, and I believe he may have misunderstood what was on the page. So we're going to go over this particular page as well as several other pages, and we're going to go ahead and break things down and really get to the heart of the matter about this FTC, endorsements, people being on YouTube, being in videos. Now, this is not a call to action. This is not me telling anybody to contact the FTC about anything. I am a journalist, not an activist. I provide information. I do not provide you with the means to cause trouble. With that said, let's dive right in and let's talk about this FTC stuff. Now, like I said, as you can see, this is the advertisement and endorsements. It's a subcategory you guys can't see on the page. Let me scroll a little bit here. As you can see, this is under the news and events category. It's media resources, truth in advertising and endorsements. It's very important that you know that because it'll play into later what we're talking about. But this particular passage is part of like a blog that the FTC has, where they just talk about stuff. This is not the rules or regulations or the law. This is just, basic understanding, trying to help you out. So as you can see, it says the FTC's Endorsement Guides, being upfront with consumers. It says endorsements are an important tool for advertisers and they can be persuasive to consumers. But the law says, so there is a law, the law says they also have to be truthful and not misleading. The FTC's guides concerning the use of endorsements and testimonials in advertising are guidelines designed to help advertisers of all stripes. So now what they're going to talk about is the guides concerning the use of endorsements and testimonies, not the law. They're not speaking on the law right now. They're speaking on the guides that they have provided, the guides that they have on the website that you could look up. And it's sort of a primer on how to not do anything illegal, but it in and of itself is not the law. So that's the distinction you guys got to understand. They're not speaking about the law in this little paragraph passage here. They're speaking about the guides which help you avoid breaking the law. So it says, TV, print, radio, blogs, word of mouth marketing. Make sure they meet this standard. For example, advertisers are advised that using unrepresentative testimonials may be misleading if they are not accompanied by information describing what consumers can generally expect from use of the product or service. In addition, the endorsement guide lets endorsers know that they shouldn't talk about their experience with the product if they haven't tried it, or make claims about a product that would require proof they don't have. The endorsement guide also states that if there is a connection between the endorser and the marketer of a product that would affect how people evaluate the endorsement, it should be disclosed. Now, this is very important because this is what was being discussed by everybody. And this is what was kind of glossed over on the stream last night. Now, obviously, people knowing if somebody's an investor in a product, that would change the way they view the endorsement. If they know that someone is a personal friend of the CEO of the product, that would change how people feel about the endorsement. And according to the guidelines here, according to this passage, that is something that the endorser should be aware of and disclose. Now, obviously, in a video being made by the company, the endorser might not have access to disclose that information. That's why I believe it would be up to the company putting together the video. So in this case, let's say Coca-Cola films a bunch of people that may have stock in Coca-Cola. They tell Coca-Cola, hey, I'm an investor, make sure that you do it. Now it would fall on Coca-Cola to put that in the advertisement, because obviously the endorser has no control over what Coca-Cola does in the advertisement itself. Now, this is the part that Retro Bro was kind of confused on. It says the guides are not regulations, and so there are no civil penalties associated with them. Now, again, this is speaking of the guides that they're talking about. This is not speaking of the law. It's not saying that there is no law. It's simply saying that the guides that they provide for you are not necessarily, if you violate the particular things in the guides, they're not necessarily illegal. Okay, that's the difference you have to understand. That's what people are trying to clarify. That's what I'm trying to clarify here. The FTC has guides on their website, but the guides are not in and of themselves the law. There is a law, several of them, in fact, that have to do with marketing, advertising, misleading customers, all that kind of good stuff. The guides help you not break the law, but the guides in and of themselves are not the law. Okay, so I'm trying to be really clear about this. Now it says, but if advertisers don't follow the guides, the FTC may decide to investigate whether the practices are unfair or deceptive under the FTC Act. Now the FTC Act is where the laws are. So what they're saying is, if you don't follow the guides, and someone says, hey, this company's not following those guidelines, it looks like, something's going on. The FTC will investigate, and they'll say, hey, they didn't follow the guides. Let's look further into why they didn't follow the guides and determine whether or not they're trying to break the law or not. Sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes things fall through the cracks, obviously. So there's probably some leeway and there's some gray area. And that's what the FTC does. And like I said, the FTC Act would be the law. Now it says the FTC revised its endorsement guides in October 2009 to keep them up to date with current marketing techniques, such as blogging and word-of-mouth advertising. The guides point out that marketers using these new techniques are subject to the same truthful advertising laws that other forms of advertising has always been. That means, among other things, the marketers who are compensated to promote or review a product should disclose it. So there you go. That's the page that Retro went over. Like I said, there was, I believe, some misunderstanding as to what this page was, what it means in the grand scheme of things, why he thought that there was no law based on what he read. Completely understandable. I mean, if you just read this and you have no context of all the other stuff, you might think, oh, they're just guides, there's no FTC laws, nothing to worry about, guys, no big deal. But obviously there are. So we're gonna go over to this other page here, which is in the Tips and Advice Business Center Guidance, Advertising and Marketing on the Internet, Rules of the Road. Now, as you can see, it says the Internet is connecting advertisers and marketers to customers from Boston to Bali with text, interactive graphics, video, and audio. If you're thinking about advertising on the Internet, remember that many of the same rules that apply to other forms of advertising apply to electronic marketing. These rules and guidelines protect businesses and consumers and help maintain the credibility of the Internet as an advertising medium. The Federal Trade Commission has prepared this guide to give you an overview of some of the laws it enforces. Now, again, this guide is not going to go over every single law. This guide is not going to go over every nuance or every example, but it's a basic overview, designed to help you kind of understand what's going on, understand the laws of the land, as it were, because in the United States there is a precedence that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you do violate the law, but you're like, well, I didn't know that this was a thing, I didn't know that I was supposed to do X, Y, or Z, in the United States, you could still be in trouble for that. They can say, hey, it's not our fault, you didn't educate yourself about this. This is why you always educate yourself first before attempting to do something that you're not sure about. Now, if we go down to testimonials and endorsements, I believe this is what Gen X Gamer had went over in his short little video. It says testimonials and endorsements. Testimonials and endorsements must reflect the typical experience of consumers. unless the ad clearly and conspicuously states otherwise. A statement that not all consumers will get the same results is not enough to qualify a claim. Testimonials and endorsements can't be made to make a claim that the advertiser itself cannot substantiate. That would be like if you're advertising, say, some pill to lose weight. You can't say, well, you're gonna lose hundreds of pounds. It's just gonna fall off, because that wouldn't be typical. The typical result might be something like you can expect to lose 5 to 10 pounds in a week if you follow a strict diet and exercise regimen. Now, here's the important part. Connections between an endorser and the company that are unclear or unexpected to a customer must also be disclosed. Now, this is the important part here. This is the rule. Then you have a comma. The comma is a break in a sentence. It lets you know that, there's two disparate thoughts. So this next part, whether they have to do with a financial arrangement for a favorable endorsement, a position with the company, or stock ownership. Now, this doesn't mean that those are the only examples. Doesn't mean that those are the only things that count as a connection between an endorser and the company. Like I said, you have the rule, then a comma, and then it gives you examples. Those are examples. They're not the be-all, end-all. Now, it is a unclear or unexpected connection between the company and an individual if that individual invested in a crowdfunding campaign, that individual was being promoted by the company. So let's say, for example, that Coca-Cola is promoting my new rap album. Coca-Cola is like, Tony's doing this new Coca-Cola rap album. You guys should check it out. And then I make a video talking about how great Coke is, without ever telling people that, hey, Coca-Cola is endorsing my rap album. Now, that could change people's opinion of whether or not my statements are truthful or not. It doesn't matter whether or not my statements are truthful. That's not the point of these rules. The point is whether or not people might perceive my statements to be truthful. I'll give you another example. When I come out and say, hey, I have a bias towards Tommy Tallarico. I do not like him. I do not trust him. I do not find him credible. Now, when I then speak about things that he might have said or done, it's up to people to evaluate whether or not they trust that I am being truthful, or if I am being vindictive or untruthful in some way because I have a bias towards the individual. Another connection would be somebody being a close personal friend. Now, that word gets thrown around a lot, friend, but when individuals are being insistent that they are in fact real, legitimate friends with the CEO of a company, that is something that probably should be disclosed, because that would affect a viewer's evaluation of their endorsement. Now, again, if a company's putting out a video featuring people in the video and the viewer is not given the information, that could be a FTC violation. Again, I am not a lawyer. I do not specialize in FTC violations. I am not an activist. I am a journalist. I'm just giving information and my interpretation of it as I understand it. I could be wrong. I'm always open to that possibility, but I am reading, as you are, the same thing on the screen. Now, it says, expert endorsement must be based on appropriate tests or evaluations performed by the people that have mastered the subject matter. I don't know if anybody would be considered a expert on video games. So now this is the last thing we need to go over. It is the Disclosures 101 for social media influencers. Now, this would be the side that affects people that make endorsement videos for things, whether it's reviews, positive press, go buy this product type thing, or whatever have you, YouTube videos, blogs, blog posts. very short. It says the FTC works to stop deceptive ads, and its endorsement guides go into detail about how advertisers and endorsers can stay on the right side of the law. We're not going to go through the endorsement guide. It is a really long document. I suggest you go to the FTC website and check it out yourself if you are an influencer or any kind of social media personality that thinks that maybe you might have to brush up on this. It says if you endorse a product through social media, your endorsement message should make it obvious when you have a relationship, that's a material connection, with a brand. A material connection to the brand includes a personal, family, or employment relationship, or a financial relationship, such as the brand paying you or giving you free or discounted products or services. Now, I deal with this all the time when I have to say that such and such company is giving me a review copy or a free copy of a game, free demo, free whatever, like a tchotchke that goes along with the items, free review unit, what have you. But again, like I said, they include a personal relationship. That would be, again, if you are friends with the CEO, you should disclose this at the beginning of your videos and probably in the description of your videos to allow the viewer to understand that you have a connection with this company based on a personal relationship with an individual within the company. And this would allow them to evaluate whether or not they think your endorsement is truthful or not. And again, it doesn't matter if your endorsement is truthful. You could be 100% telling the truth about your experience, your view of the product, what you believe the future of the product to be, how great you believe the product. That is not important. That's inconsequential to the law. What is consequential to the law is whether or not you let people know that you have this connection. You have to give the viewer, the consumer, all the facts. You have to give them all the information so that they can make up their own mind whether or not they believe that you are being truthful. And again, it doesn't matter if you are truthful. It just matters whether or not the viewer has the information to determine whether or not they think you're truthful. It even says here, it says, telling your followers about these kinds of relationships is important because it helps keep your recommendations honest and truthful and allows people to weigh the value of your endorsements. It says, as an influencer, it's your responsibility to make these disclosures, to be familiar with the endorsement guides, and to comply with laws against deceptive ads. Again, there are laws. There are laws. The FTC enforces laws. The guides are not the laws. The laws are the laws. You have to look these up. The laws are usually have to do with, like it says here, deceptive advertising. It's probably going to be a couple other laws that even I'm not familiar with 100%. And it says here, don't rely on others to do it for you. So again, as I've been saying for this entire video, as I've been saying for months and months, disclosure. Always disclose when there's a relationship. Always disclose when you feel like some of the things you said might be perceived as being influenced by something else. Obviously, a negative opinion is not considered deceptive advertising because you're no longer advertising. It's a weird gray area. I know people are probably going to be upset about that, but I don't make the law. But if you are endorsing a product, if you are saying good things about a product to help promote it, you should probably disclose the relationship, if there is one, with anybody within the company, any financial relationship, any perceived relationship. Remember, it's always better to err on the side of caution. You don't want to get caught up in something and end up getting in trouble and then pleading ignorance, which is no excuse for breaking the law, for violating the law. But really, that's all I had to say. I just want to go through this real quick because I know some people were wondering about it. Some people were having some sort of misunderstandings about it. They weren't exactly 100% sure. Myself, I'm still not 100% sure, but I think I have a better understanding than most people. Like I said, obviously I'm not a lawyer. There's always going to be loopholes and ways to get around things and finagling, because that's what lawyers do. But on the surface level understanding, I think we've covered it. I think I've helped better prepare you to go about your journey in life. And you know how they say it on this channel: love, peace, booty grease. I'm out this bitch.